Rich with Baum Photography, Sacramento, California. Hey, I was gonna do this live video from my computer, but I can't figure out how to do a Facebook Live from my desktop. So if anybody knows how, I'd love to start this over again. But I'm gonna run down now, and I'm gonna get me a little tripod so I can do that. And that just shows you want to be prepared. Yep. Big fail. Anyway, let me go get a tripod. How's everybody doing? I see John. What's up? Okay, give me a minute. I'm just getting a little tripod because you know how I don't think I can do a Facebook Live from my desktop. Anyway, got my little tripod. Going back up to the office. Here we go. Great way to start off my first Facebook Live. Anyway, okay. Give me a second. Just going to set this up. Here we go. Put this here. Luckily, I got this thing I can do real quick. Give me a second. Again. Apologize. Okay. There we go. Okay, lower down the tripod a little bit. That'll work. I'm going to sit at my desk and do this today. Okay, a little cockeyed. Okay. Hey, that's better. Okay. I think it's going to work, but I'm not going to be able to see the phone. So change something. Give me a second. Again, test your stuff out before you do it. Here we go. Okay, let me put this right here. I think this is going to actually work fine. There we go. Okay, much better. Oh yeah, okay. Sorry for the delay, guys and girls. I hope we have some girls coming in because we got some great male and female shooters from this group. Okay, let me just pan down a little bit. Good. Awesome. Angle problem, but that's okay because we want our vertical straight, right? Good. Okay, sorry it took that little interruption. So let me start off. Matthew Chase, Kerry, Rob Mulligan. Rob, everybody's here. Matthew Chase, Rob, okay. So let me see here. I'm going to start off by saying, hey, I do a lot of Twilight photography, and it depends, I guess, what you consider a lot. I do about between 0 and 6 a week. Lately, I've been doing about 4 or 5 a week. It's getting a little tiring, and I certainly would be happy to share what I know and what I've been doing and answer some questions, because I know we got a lot of new photographers in the group that are at least new to Twilight photography. So let me just see if I can start scrolling down on these questions. Okay, we've got John. Okay, wants to know who's watching your live video. Swipe left, I can see it. Anyway, put a new mask on yourself. A fun look, tap the magic wand. Oh, it's definitely on Facebook anyway. Rob Mulligan, yo. I'm excited to do this. I do Twilights, but the results is never what I see on here. I never quite get what I love. John Upson, listen, John, come up with a more specific question, and I'd be happy to answer them. Rob, howdy, Rob. Matthew Chase, Kerry, hello. Okay, everybody sing hello. Now, Matthew Chase is viewing your video now. Tap to invite him to join others. Oh, this is getting a lot of Facebook little advertisements. Okay, can talk about painting with light. Okay, you know, Kerry, I'm going to be probably not the guy to talk about light painting because I started doing Twilights without lights, and then I went to lights, trying to do the Mike Kelly kind of a Twilight shooting and doing 2, 3, 4, 10, 15, 20, 30 pops, and then you got 30 layers, and I brought it in, and actually with my friend Martin Martin, if you're out there, I found that I wasn't getting the results that I wanted for the amount of work, because I was spending at least an hour on an image, and it was just too much work. So I went back to doing single exposures and doing all my light painting I'm doing faux light painting or pseudo light painting in Lightroom by taking a properly exposed image and just masking in little bits of highlights and exposures. So I can't really talk about light painting, and I know that it's really a big thing, and I found that just to do it right, it is a lot of work, and I didn't see myself doing it as well as I would like, and also as well as it would be to take the time. So I'm really going for a single exposure. I get what I need. It's for real estate primarily. If I was doing some big shoot and I could justify $2,000-3,000 an image, I might be doing multiple flash layers and doing all kinds of stuff. Anyway, if you posted, hey Josh, what's up? If you posted something, question, please repost it. And you know what? I'm getting a little bit too many. I'm getting a little too many questions, so let's all slow down here. Can you talk about painting with light? Kerry, again, I'm sorry, I'm not the guy to do that, but I'm here to help you with your settings, help you with your compositions, things like that. Scott Dubois is in the house. Scott is a fantastic shooter in San Jose, California, top shooter. He's the guy that does 2,000 square foot houses in 20 minutes. Unbelievable, but yes. Happy birthday, Single Shot Raw. What tweaks are you making in Lightroom? Okay. If you haven't been to my YouTube channel, and this is not a push for my YouTube channel, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart, but if you haven't been there, you can go see, just do a search for Rich Baum YouTube and look for a video on twilight shooting, and I'll show you what I do. But the first thing I do after I take my image, and I always take brackets, so I have them, even if I don't need them, and I'm only going to need one really good image, and I'm taking extra because it's no extra work to take extra brackets. And as I think Mike Kelly said, bracket, 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 always get brackets for almost everything you do if you got the time, or unless you're someone like Scott Dubois that doesn't need to do it because he's perfect every time. But what I would suggest is you get your image, you put them all in Lightroom, and you can see my tutorials where I go through this. And I'll do a tutorial after this video this week, and I'll do a new Twilight tutorial since I've been doing so many. Anyway, I bring them into Lightroom. I go and I pick out and put 1 star next to the image that I want to use, or the images I want to use. The first thing I'm going to do, and actually I do this across the board, when I bring in all my Twilights, I go give it my real estate full bump, or my special sauce. And I have a video tutorial on what my special sauce preset is. All it is I'm pushing the highlights down, the shadows up. I'm adding a little contrast, adding a little white, adding a little black down, negative black. I am adding a little saturation. I am adding a little dehaze, and I am not changing. I'm not doing a sync with all the white balance, because white balance changes with Twilights. It goes from normal white balance to like blue, and it's really weird. But I do it all in automatic, auto white balance, and I do it all in raw so I can change it. Anyway, long story short is I add, what do I do in Lightroom? At the beginning, I do it all my full bump. I add up this full bump and put it in there, and all my images come out kind of in the nature of what I'm going to do. Then I will take the image and I will adjust the exposure per the one I want to use. Then I'll bring it into Photoshop if I need to, and I'll do what I need to do in Photoshop, and that's another subject. But once I bring it back into Lightroom, and after my sky replacement, or after any tweaks I'm doing, or if I'm masking in the lower exposure of the blown out lights, I tend to just bring it back in Lightroom, and I will do a little light painting with my local adjustment brush in Lightroom, and I'll add in a little exposure, maybe 20-25% exposure. I will bring my flow down a little bit so it's not like really heavy, and I will bring up my exposure, I will bring up my saturation, and I will maybe make it red or warm, even on green bushes or on anything I want to lighten. I will lighten it, and what I'm usually doing it with is like the shrubbery. I will lighten shrubbery. I will add a little light to the top of a shrub and to the top of another shrub and to little leaves and some trees. I'll just click, 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 a little bit of exposure, and I'll paint. And I can get almost the same effect. Granted, I always say that if you were to flash it, it would be better, but I get almost the same effect, in my opinion. And we've done tests. A couple of us have gone back and forth and decided it's much easier to do this than to do the multiple light painting for us and for me in Lightroom, in real estate photography. So anyway, I hope that answered your question, Scott. Let me go here. Tweaks you're making in Lightroom. Okay. John, question. You're doing a lot of single exposure Twilight shots, right? Are you making duplicate files and editing them for differently and then multiplied blending? Not really. For Twilights, all I'm doing is I just bring the image into, or I will not duplicate an image. I will take an image exposed for the overall or a brighter image, and then I will bring in and it might incur blown out lights, wall lights and street lights and yard lights, whatever, windows too. I'll bring in maybe a lower exposure, so I'll bring those in as layers in Photoshop, and I'll mask in the darker exposure. So that's how I deal with it, and that's pretty much all I duplicate, or why I would use a separate exposure or a separate layer. Okay. Seems like we all have the same question, yeah. Okay, Josh, here we go. Question I have is, what is the best target exposure for Twilights? I usually try to expose for the interior lights to make the windows pop, but the exterior lights are blown out. Should I be more exposing for the exterior lights and brush in some more of the color for the windows? Josh, honestly, I don't worry about that. I just take brackets, and usually my brackets are 2/3 a stop apart. I could do 1 or 2 stops apart, but I find 2/3 of a stop, and I could be covering a lot. I could be doing 7 or 8 2/3 stop brackets, but I just do what I need. I never do auto bracketing for anything. I just find I'd rather just look at my iPad. I'm always doing tethering. And instead of worrying about what's my target exposure, just do everything. Okay, I would target for a proper exposure overall, but then I'd make sure I have an overexposure and an underexposure, and enough underexposures that I have got at least one image where the lights are not blown out. And that could be a 4-stop difference. So that's really up to you. And I would suggest just bracket, 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 and cover your butt. Anyway, right on. Okay, Josh, I hope that answered it. Kerry, I love to hear you say that. I'm doing that similar. One other question. What is the right time for taking these photos? I've heard 10 minutes after sunset, but some say that's too dark. Okay, I've got my theory on this, and I do it so much that I think my theory is probably pretty right on. I've really come to the conclusion that the majority of the hero shot, okay, when I go, and a lot of people know, I will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 12 Twilight shots. And I'm running around, but I am always making sure I've got the one hero shot. It might be the backyard, it might be the front yard, front of the house. But I've already gotten there before sunset. And, oh, that's something else I'll talk about. I've gotten there before sunset. So I've scouted out my shot. I have my camera, and I walk around looking for what I want to do. So I know when I get that time that it's the perfect moment for the hero Twilight shot, I have got the right composition and the right time. And then my goal is for the hero shot, I have found it's 20 minutes after actual sunset. I have an iWatch, and on my iWatch I can show, hold on, let me show you, it's a cool feature. Hold on a second. Here we go. Hold on a second. On my iWatch I show that it has, oh, never mind. I have to fail. It shows me my sunset time, and I know what sunset time it's going to be. So I'm going to be there about 15 minutes after to 20 minutes after I'm shooting about 3 or 4 minutes to get that hero shot. And then it's usually too dark. But I will say, I believe that the time will change depending on season, and I could be wrong. I don't have a scientific notion for that, but I believe it changes in the winter, it changes in the summer. It also changes in the amount of cloud cover. It changes in the amount of foliage. So you can't nail it down to 15, 20 minutes after sunset. I don't think it's 10 minutes though. I think it's 15 after. But I'm shooting these shots just at sunset. Sometimes you can get the interior lights to really come through, which is what we need for Twilight, to have the interior lights come on. And that can happen right at sunset on some locations. It could happen in 10 minutes after, and sometimes it doesn't happen for like 15, 20 minutes after. So it always varies. Just cover your ass and make sure you've got your compositions ready. So you can do bunches of shots if that's what you do. That's what I do. That's what my clients hire me, because I give them 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 shots. And they pay me well. I'm happy with it, but it's a lot of work. But it's really not a lot of shooting time. I can do them all in about 15 minutes. I'm running my ass off. Okay, I'm running. And then editing, it takes me about 5 minutes per image to edit, and that's about it for a Twilight shot. You go try and do that with a light painting shot. Good luck. If you can do it, good luck. Larry Fields, how are you? Ryan Carr is in the house. Tony Marinella, Josh Wheeler, Kerry. Okay. What is your typical aperture setting for your Twilights? When lights start to get that star effect, good, not good. Okay, I don't go for the star effect because I'm worried about a dirty sensor. That's not really true, but it's part of it. I rarely shoot up in the f/22. I never go for the star effect, although sometimes I do, but it's not part of my repertoire. I'm worried more if there is any type of wind. I'm going to go for a faster shutter speed, because it depends on where the trees are and things. But depending, I can go absolutely from f8 to f5.6, f4, and I actually did one the other night. If I'm doing a handheld 16-foot pole shot, I might be doing f2 on my 12mm Rokinon or Samyang. So I can't really say there is one specific. I find though, with a wide angle lens and a Twilight shot, you can get by, since you're way back, you can really get by shooting f4, and you don't really have to worry about it, unless you have things in the foreground. I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I wouldn't worry about getting the sweet spot of the lens. I mean, we're past that. I mean, we're not doing these shots that are getting thousands of dollars. We really have to make compromises and concessions to get what we need. But if you want to shoot at f/22 and get the star effect, I recommend everybody try shooting at f/22 and see what it looks like. It's pretty darn cool when you get those cool little stars. But you play around with it. But I think that anything past 5.6, I do a lot of pole stuff, so I need at least a quarter-second shutter speed, or I'm going to get blurry. So anyway, I definitely recommend play around with your shutter speed. I mean, your aperture. Okay. Okay, what's your typical aperture? Okay, Larry Isaacs is saying, I read where you should shoot a bracket of 5 minutes, however. I end up with tons of images over a 40-minute period, and then the end of just using 3 images. What are all these taken what time are all these taken at the end of the session? What's more efficient technique? What would you suggest, and what camera settings do you use? I just talked about the camera settings. So, and ISO, I might do ISO 1600 if I'm using my Nikon. I might do ISO 400. It depends what I need. I push the ISO when I need it, if I've got a lot of wind or something. The other thing too is I shoot tons of brackets too. I probably have 15, 20 shots per shot when I'm doing Twilights. I would love to bring it down to 2 or 3 shots. I'm just not geared that way. So anyway. Kerry, how many angles are you capturing? I feel like I can handle 1. How many do you deliver? Kerry, go in the Twilight group and look at my stuff. Every day I post how many I'm doing. 2 days ago I posted 12 images. That may be too many for most people, but it's what I do. And, you know, I might be compromising to get one. Instead of getting one unbelievable image, I'm getting a bunch. But that's what I sell, and that's what my agents want, or certain agents want. I'm always doing 4, 5, or 6. And I can get these. I'm always looking around as I'm scouting the house, as I'm shooting daytime. What's my Twilight shot going to be? So I tend to just have a good idea of what I'm getting. And I jam, man. I really move around, and I get a lot of shots. If you want to do 1, that's fine, if that is what works for you. So, and I deliver, I can't tell you, I deliver at least 4 shots per any Twilight. Awesome ideas, James. Oh, wait, are we at the end of questions? Oh my gosh. Let me see. Wow. Okay, well, I hope there's still somebody here. We got, 18 people are here. Okay. So, here we go, a new question. So if you shoot a house during the day, that means you have to go back later for the twilight shot. How many more do you do, and what do you charge for the twilight shoot? Well, most people know, excuse me, I'm going to take a sip. I'm a little thirsty. People want to know what's in there. Ha 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 ha. Fooled y'all. Anyway, would like a beer though. I shoot during the day, and I never schedule an interior shoot or a day shoot right next to the twilight, because I never am going to get I don't want to shoot a house that late, the interiors. So I prefer to shoot a house in the morning and then go back in the evening. It's just the way I am, but it works for me if it's a really nice house and a really great agent. But what I'm doing lately in the summer, in the winter I tend to do that because in the winter I tend to shoot in the morning and then at night, because twilights are at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the evening or the afternoon. But in the summer, where twilights are 8 o'clock, now it's becoming sunset tonight is 8:02 in California. I tend to shoot the house about 4:30, and it will take me an hour and a half to shoot. Then I've been going to Starbucks. Thank you, Scott Dubois. Going to Starbucks, editing my day's work or my home, going to a local Starbucks, and then going back for my twilight. And I get there about 15 minutes before sunset, 20 minutes before sunset, depending on what I have to do. I did do a big house 2 days ago, and it took me literally 15 minutes to turn on all the lights of the house. I got the lockbox, went in and on my own turned on the pool filter, the pool lights, the outside lights, the inside lights. There were 75 switches, and it was crazy. So I had to get there a little bit earlier, but I charge them for it. And what do I charge? I don't normally tell prices I charge. I charge $275 for a twilight shoot. That's whether I have to come back or whether I do it right after the shoot. It's because I tell people, I'm leaving my family. I'm missing dinner. I'm missing my favorite TV shows to shoot your effing shot. So, my wife said, don't swear. So I want to charge that. And when I put it that way, I think people understand. I even do contract shooting for other photographers, and they understand. They would rather have me do it at that price than doing it themselves, because I'll tell you, I did it 4 nights last week and 6 nights the week before, and I was not happy. I'm working till 1 in the morning, editing my day's work. That's why I started editing on a laptop in the field, because I can't get it all done. Okay, let's see. So do you only shoot one house a day? No, Sean, I go between 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a twilight. Last couple of weeks I've been shooting a couple a week where I'm getting 3, 4 houses and a twilight. So it's long days. Okay, let's see here. So if you shoot a house during the day, I just did that. Bob, I hope that answered your question. Rob, what is your bracket spacing and how many shots? 1 through 5. I already said that, Bob. I'm doing bracketing 2/3 of a stop. I cover whatever I need. I've got an iPad so I can see what I need, and I cover the bases 2/3 a stop apart, and then I will do between 4 and 12 shots. 12 is my max. Compared to the cost of general interiors, what are your twilights? Again, I'm $275 for twilights. My interiors start at $225, and then they go up to $800, $900, depending on how many square feet. But I don't want to get into doing pricing. Not looking for a price, but how does your pricing for twilight sessions compare to an average listing shoot? I just did that. So, Chris, I hope that answered your question. If you have any other questions, send me a message. I don't mind answering stuff. Okay, here we go. Conversation started. We've had 25 comments so far. Okay, Kerry, oh man, I am undercharging, LOL. No, you're not. You know what? That's what I charge. That's what I'm doing. The bottom line is my clients, my agents, my customers value what I bring to them. They know that the Twilight shots are bringing in the views. They know that that's stopping people to look at further. We've absolutely gotten firm feedback that the photos are making the difference. Okay, I am going to do some kind of a tutorial on that, but I've gotten recently 3 different agents telling us that is why they are selling their houses. They're selling them also because they're great houses, blah, blah, blah. But the only reason they're getting them done so fast is because of the photos. And Twilight Photos is what we lead off with. So it's worth whatever your agents are charging or paying, but also it changes where you are, it changes in your market. It's not fair to ask in a group, what are you getting, what are you charging, what should I be charging? So I'm not going to answer that. I'm saying what you charge is what you charge. It really depends, okay? Is it taboo to talk price or just talk taboo price? Flat fee for Twilights. Size and scope. Yeah, I do a flat fee, $275. I might do more if it's something really insane, but I think $275 for me is fine. So do you only shoot one house a day, or do you shoot until the sun goes down? I think I answered that. Let's see. Oh man, I'm undercharging. What is your go-to piece of equipment for Twilights, aside from the camera? My go-to piece of equipment is my Manfrotto 3046 tripod. Look it up, Manfrotto 3046. You're going to have to look on eBay. You're not going to find it new. My first one I bought in 1984. I've had 3 of them. They are the best tripod. I use it for all my real estate, all my commercial stuff, all of my studio stuff. It's my tripod. I have $700-800 Gitsu tripods. I've got mini Gitsu traveling tripods. I use it, other things. But for all this, I have a geared center column, and that's my go-to. It goes between about belly button high, and it goes to about that high. It goes almost 7 feet. And my other go-to piece of equipment is my geared head. I actually shot 2 cameras on 2 tripods the other night. I put a tripod in the backyard. I put a tripod in the front yard with a pole up on it so I didn't have to move it. And I found that even my really right stuff ball head was a pain in the ass, and I don't want to use it anymore. So geared head, geared head, geared head, Manfrotto 3046 tripod, and a with the geared center column. So you can find these on eBay almost in perfect condition, usually with a perfect video head too, for about $100. I bought the last 2 for $100 in perfect condition. Manfrotto 3046 anyway. My other piece of equipment, pole and a magic arm on my website, on my Facebook, on my YouTube channel. I do a little video on a magic arm clamping on to a pole and clamping onto my tripod. That way I can do my pole shots and leave it, and without wind, as long as there's no wind, I can do slow shutter speed pole shots, 16 feet up. Have you talked lights? Rodrigo Costa, I don't talk lights for Twilights anymore. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm saying I don't do it. I used to, even when I started 2 years ago shooting pops for night, for Twilights, I would do pops. I would do anywhere from 1, 2, 5 and up to 30. I think I did 60 pops once. I found it was too much. I didn't use them. It was too much work. And then I just found that for me, single exposure, or I will use multiple exposure and just mask in the lower exposure for blown out areas. I find that's enough. So I'm not going to go again to talking about light painting. But if you want to learn about it, I suggest Mike Kelly's video. Mike is really great out there. And I can't think of anybody else's tutorials. But I know there's a few other guys that are also shooting without using lights. We're doing Sam Chen, I don't think uses lights anymore for Twilights, and there's a bunch of other people. I just found that I'm getting good results. I'm getting decent results. I'm not unhappy with, or you go look at my stuff and tell me what you think. And I'm sure I could get better, could get more. I could always do more, get better. But you know what? For me, it's okay. I'm fine with it, okay? Anyway. You mentioned running around, turning on lights in the house. This is Josh Wheeler. You mentioned running around, turning on lights in the house. Many times I'm doing a house with poor lighting, and in some of the rooms, do you prefer to leave it as is paint in more or get a gel or boy, these long questions, or leave it in the room and light it. Okay, here's the deal. If you can always ask the owner to take a lamp and put it into an empty room. I never now go in with a flash and light the inside of a house. It's just I've never had to. If I need to, I can mask in, I can select the window in Photoshop and brighten it up and color it up, and I can fake it. Or I can take an existing colored window and click it and use it to clone another window. I can also clone exterior lights. If a light's out, I even have a video how to change a light bulb in Photoshop. If a light's out, I'll just clone it. A lot of times the solar lights in the yard, I'll just clone one and pop it on all the other ones if they're not working. A lot of times they don't work. Also in the house, I just do the best I can do. I open up all the shutters if I can, or at least make them go straight so I have the most light. Second story, I'll angle the shutters a little bit down so the camera can see the most light. You tell your owner of the house, who's usually who you're meeting there, or your agent, just tell them the more light you get coming out, the better. That's what sells it. Your job is to convince these people. This is what I learned from Scott Hargis in his video series. Teaching us what we're doing, what we're shooting, why we're shooting. You don't need to shoot the other half of the couch because we know it's there. You don't need to shoot the toilet because you know it's there. You don't need to shoot the refrigerator because you know it's there. You don't have to shoot the other half, the whole refrigerator. You tell your agents and you tell them, let's get lights in there, bring in an extra light. I do have sometimes agents will bring in work lights that I leave it up to them. I just can't deal with it. But I tell them if there's no lights in the house, if the electricity's off, it's your job. We're not going to do a Twilight unless you bring in lights, and they will bring in lights. They can bring in standing lamps, table lamps, anything they want. So anyway, I've had a lot of times too, agents buy yard lights, and that works really well. And another tip is if you're going to a house, have a bunch of business cards. If you have those solar lights, take a business card and place it on top of the solar panel, and it will cut off the light and the light will turn on, so you can have all those yard lights going before they would go normally. Okay, it's actually really easy to do. Okay, thank you, Rich. Could you hold on a second. Josh, I did that. Hope that answered it, Josh. And again, if you need more questions answered, send me a comment. I'll be happy to answer it for you. Thank you, Rich. Could you only stay for a bit as I have an appointment? So helpful. Oh, could only stay for a bit. I understand. Kerry, you're awesome. Come back anytime. I'll do this again. I think it's a good thing to do. What time do you start and end your Twilights? Thanks, Rich. Stephen, I would rewatch this broadcast. I start I get there about 30 to 20 minutes before sunset, the actual sunset. I have the sunset on my iWatch. It tells me every day what time is sunset. And I know it's 8:02 tonight, so if you're doing a Twilight, you got to get there. And I would be there at 20 minutes to 8. And then I'm getting all set up. I'm making sure I scout my shots so I know what I'm doing because, again, I'm doing between 4 and 12 shots. I got to know exactly where I'm going. And then I shoot up until my hero shot, and I make sure I get there about 15 minutes after actual sunset, because 20 minutes, almost exactly 20 minutes, is what I have found, what several of us have found to be the perfect timing. But that changes due to the light in the sky, due to cloud cover, due to plant cover, foliage, due to direction, which way you're facing, due to sunset. There's so many variables. So make sure you get there 15, 20 minutes in advance of sunset. And I plan to stay there. If sunset is 7:58, I've been staying till about 8:15. So that's about that. Okay. Let's see. You mentioned your video, how to clone a light. Thanks. I used it today and it worked just great. Thanks again. Well, you know what? There's a lot of things you can do, and what I say in my YouTube videos is what I do works for me, and there's a million ways to do things. I am not the guru or the god of Photoshop. I'm just a guy. I know what I know, but I don't know a lot of basics in Photoshop. I got thrown into Photoshop into the more advanced stuff like masking. Anyway, so what works for me, you can see it. Just look on my YouTube channel, how to change a light bulb in Photoshop, and it's the same thing. You can just clone in clone in a light, paste it in, and it works for a lot of lights. You can do it a lot on a window also. You can clone in another, you can select and copy another window in Photoshop, and then just paste it into a similar window. It's fairly easy to do. Okay, John, I personally hate wetting down on the concrete. Okay, here's a good subject. But had a homeowner request it the other night. Do you find that it gets nicer image or dry or wet concrete with dry or wet concrete? Okay, do I wet down? Okay, here's the deal. I have one agent that really requests me to wet down, and I had to convince her because when we did it last year, if you remember, California's in a major drought, and my excuse to not wet down, because it is a pain in the ass. I'll get to whether I think it's worth it doing it or not, but we got to the point where I actually got hate mail. I remember posting a Twilight shot 3 years ago in Photography for Real Estate Flickr group, and I had people like Scott Hargis saying, don't be wetting down. We don't wet down. We don't waste water. You don't do that. And you know what? I was shamed out of it, and I never did it again. Although, I will say to an agent, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it yourself. And I'm going to let them know, especially in the summer in Sacramento, it's so warm. By the time you wet down the left side of the driveway or the sidewalk, the right side is dried. Unless they're prepared to be there and completely cover it and make sure it's not deep. Because if you have it partially done, don't do it at all. Tell your agents that if you're insisting that it's done, you have to stand here and make sure that it's done. And if it isn't done completely, your shot's going to look like crap. So you tell them that. And you tell them I might miss the shot because we're wetting down. Now, with that said, wetting down actually comes from the motion picture industry, in my opinion. I come from 35 years working on feature films. I used to always be the guy that would wet down, and wetting down was for two reasons. You can wet down during the day to make the contrast of the bright asphalt or the bright sidewalk darker. So you're bringing down the light there. And that works a lot in movies, and they used to do that, especially when they started doing videos, when they started doing digital feature films, because the dynamic range of video was far less than with film. So they needed to even it out, so along with gelling windows, they would wet down the outside so it was darker, so it was not as contrasty. But for Twilights, it adds that beautiful reflection. If you wet down in front of a house, it's going to add a reflection, and it's going to show you the reflection of the house there. So yes, it is more beautiful, and it does add to the shot. So I will say, it is a pain to do, and you don't need to do it, and I rarely do it. Rarely do it. But I will do it if I have to, and you know what? It's not a terrible thing. So I think that, yes, it really does do it, but there are shortcomings and downfalls to doing it. So don't get caught. Let me see what time it is. I got 20 more minutes. Right on. Don't get caught with your pants off halfway down that your sidewalk is only it's blotchy, because you don't want it to be blotchy. But it is a cool look. Okay, so I don't use supplemental lighting. Okay, Larry says this. I don't use supplemental lighting anymore either. I agree that it ends up being more trouble, and having to leave your tripod set for so many pops makes me end up getting fewer Twilight shots. I run around just like you do with my two tripods front and back, getting as many as I can start 10 minutes after sundown. Okay? I can start about 10 minutes. I start before that, but that's you. For tripod, I'm using a Manfrotto, which is similar to the 3046 with the geared center column. I'm great. It works for you, Larry, and you start your Twilights whatever time works for you. Josh, again. Rich, I appreciate all the tips to sell the agents. Yes, sell your agents. Educate your agents. You want agents that go, I don't care, Rich. You do what you need to do. I don't tell you. You tell me. That's why I hire you. And who do I? Okay. And the business card on the solar light. Great tips. Okay. Who do you want to win the Kentucky Derby? I don't care. Chad Davis. Chad Davis is in the house, man. The big kid in the block. We run around in similar circles, shooting similar things. And Chad and I, we're both from Sacramento, and we have yet to meet, but we are going to meet. I'm actually going to get a group together, and I recommend you do this too in your neighborhood. Find people that shoot like you shoot, and you know, we have a certain level. There's 5 or 6 of us that shoot, and we all know each other. We don't poach, we don't compete. We just do what we do, and we all help each other, and that's what it's all about. Chad and I are going to get together, and we're all going to have a beer or a coffee. And anyway, you know what? It's all good. Don't worry about your competition. It's not really about that. I believe there's enough work for good people in every city. So that's anything. And throw up a question, Chad. I haven't seen you shooting a lot of Twilights, although you did a set. Chad posted a set of interior Twilights. And I wish I could do that because honestly, I've only done a couple of interior Twilight shoots. And I didn't get, I think he said he got 10 or 12 shots. I never can imagine doing that. So anyway, hats off to you, buddy. I would like to do interior Twilight shots. So, Chad in for the win. Okay, Rob, I thought I was your favorite. Okay, anyway. By the way, once I had Rob Mulligan, after I think I showed him on my YouTube channel how to do the masking in, the flambient, and by the way, I didn't coin the term flambient. I wish I did. God, I wish I did. I'd like to know who did. If you coined flambient, let us know. But I think I showed him darken mode. And to some of the old timers, darken mode is, and Rob, I think, used the term life-changing, and I think I made his life better. So I'm happy to do that. And actually, a lot of things that I've learned to do have made my life better. Literally better, because I'm faster, I'm better. Darken mode, Twilight shooting, and that comes from Peter Lyons in San Francisco. Told me about darken mode, and he got that from Wayne Capelli. And I don't know if Wayne Capelli invented it, or I owe it all to Wayne Capelli, the master. Anyway, he's probably out shooting some big thing anyway. So if you only bracket and do a few Twilights per house. Well, Rodrigo, if you weren't listening, if you call delivering 12 Twilight shots a few, then yes, I do a few. But I bracket and I shoot as many as I can. Missed the beginning. Thanks for doing this. Do you blend shots? Laura, I don't. Hey, Laura, I don't blend. I will mask in the exposure, darker exposure for the lights if my main exposure is blown out, in some of the lights are blown out or the window's blown out. I will take a bracket, and so I'll have a darker exposure. All I do is bring the 2 images into Photoshop as layers, and I'll mask in the darker exposure. So Rob Mulligan said life-changing. Well, I'm happy for you, Rob. You know what? It's people like you that make it, what I do, worthwhile. So, and I'm gonna find out how to monetize all this work I do someday. I've been getting a lot of emails from people, long, drawn-out emails, and I'm having to not even return the email because I just don't have the time to do it. So if you've been sending me emails and I haven't returned them, you're not going to get a return. Sorry. I have been answering all my YouTube comments, so that's something. Are you blending images for final Twilight shot, or are they all single images? Bob, again, I am masking in different exposures if I need them, but no, I'm doing single exposures and just doing light painting in Lightroom if I need it. So that's about it. Okay, anyway, let me just say that what are a couple of things to bring with you on Twilight shoots? Okay, I think a step stool's good. I think a ladder's good. If you can put a long ladder on your car, you can always take an 8-foot ladder and get really nice and sturdy shots from a tall ladder. I also sometimes put my tripod on top of my truck, so I'll bring a ladder. So ladders are good. Magic arm. I think that the Manfrotto Magic Arm is great if you have a pole and you want to attach it to a light stand. A magic arm is great to have. It's cheap. It's really great. I think that having a sandbag or 2 is really good. Put a sandbag on your tripod so you have no movement. That's great. I think another thing is tethering. I have a Sony a6000 I do the majority of my work on now, and I use the Sony remote app, so I use my iPad mini, and I think that that is huge part of my success that I've gotten using it. Excuse me, I'm having allergy problems in California. I don't know about you. Anyway, I think another thing is to, oh, and I have a Cam Ranger on my Nikons. I use Cam Ranger. And on the other day, it's a little complicating, but I had one camera in the back of the house using the Nikon, using Cam Ranger, and I had the other camera in the front of the house using Sony Remote app. Sony Remote app, I was using my iPhone Plus 6, and the Nikon Camera Ranger, I was using my iPad. I was tethering two cameras at the same time, and it worked great until it stopped working, and then I was screwed at the very end. I ended up using no tethering. Oh, the other trick is if you're going to push your camera down, you use it on a timer, a remote cable, or my Nikon now has a delay where I can just put it on delay 2 seconds. So I push the trigger down, it delays it 2 seconds, takes the picture. It's not like a timer. It's kind of like a timer, but it works really fast and really easy. Okay, Laura. Gosh, sorry about this, folks. Man, scratchy. Okay. Laura, one more question. Are your Twilights like the cover image you have on the group? I have an agent who likes darker shots. Okay, Laura, that's a great question because, and this is going out to a few people that like Scott Dubois and Martin Beebe that are always commenting that my Twilight shots are too dark. Look at my Twilight shots, and yes, I even lighten them up for Facebook. Look at the Twilight shot on the cover we have right now, on the cover of the Twilight group. That is by Martin Beebe, and I put it up there because I think it's a great shot. But yes, in my opinion, it's too bright. So I would love to see, I'm going to do a post later today or tomorrow regarding what do you feel is the right exposure for a Twilight. So I'll have everybody post a single shot of what they think their exposure should be. I notice Sam Chen's shots are very bright usually. My shots tend to be dark, but I also had an agent that made me shoot darker or process darker because she really wanted it to look like a Twilight shot. It's darker than I thought it would be good, but it stayed in my head. So I tend to shoot darker. Some people shoot lighter. I think it's really up to you and what you want to do. So Laura, I think I would love to hear your comments and join in when we do that post, okay? Tony, what's up? Tony is another photographer. We're going to be invited out. He is from Sacramento, and he's getting into this. And he has said that Cam Ranger makes the difference. Hey, Tony, post all the things that you have attributed to me, because I know you've probably attributed Cam Ranger to me. You've attributed, I don't know what else, but I know a lot. Anyway, we've actually gone out and tried to do drone flying, and that was an abortion, or an abort, sorry. Didn't mean abortion. Anyway, Tony, good to see you, buddy, and I hope you're doing really well. Rodrigo again, I didn't mean you deliver fewer pictures. I only shoot one Twilight per house, but light paint like a madman. Okay, I shoot brackets, so I will do between 3 and 20 exposures for a house per shot. But I will take multiple compositions, let's say. So, Rodrigo, if you can get by with one image per Twilight, I can't do that. I'm known for more images, and some agents say I want choices. And we usually don't put on MLS or put on brochures all of the Twilight shots. If I shoot 12 for someone, they've got 4 to use, and they've got 8 to choose from. 8 that they are not using, but they picked what they want. I've always done it that way, and I just like doing it. I don't mind doing it. I love what I do, and I don't mind doing extra work. And if anybody else feels that I'm setting people up because I'm charging too little, charging too much, delivering too many images, delivering too few images, that's up to you. You don't ever rip on somebody for charging or doing what you're doing. If there's a guy in local company in town that's getting it, doing video, doing photos, doing Twilights for $125 a home, don't get mad at them. That's great. Do whatever they want to do. You, though, I tell people, no matter where you live in the country, and I've said this a lot lately, wherever you live, there is somebody in your town, even a small town in the Midwest, there's somebody doing high-end photography. Maybe not making what you're making in San Francisco, Sacramento, or New York, but they're making good money. You just have to become that photographer and find out who that is. I guarantee you there's marketing agencies, advertising agencies in every town in America. So somebody's getting more than $75 a house. So be that person. But there's also, you've got to supply not only the images, you've got to supply the delivery, the turnaround, the reliability. You've got to be the kind of person they want representing them. They've got to be all those things. You've got to fix things that aren't right. You've got to fix things in the middle of the night. That's why they're going to hire you. That's why you're going to get hired. So anyway, I just think that it's all different, man. It's all different. So, and I didn't mean to get down on you for anything. So how long usually to edit a single image? 10 to 15 minutes. That's what it takes me. I bring all my images into Lightroom, and I put the full bump, my special sauce. If you look at my videos, you'll see that. I put that on all the images. It gets them in the ballpark. I'll tweak it in Lightroom, and then I'll bring it into Photoshop with another image and either mask in the lights on the second image to bring down the exposure on the lights, and then I will do a sky replacement. On 90% of my images are sky replacements because I don't want to worry about a crappy sky or worry that I need to take the picture at the perfect time because I don't have the time for that. So 9 out of 10 of my shots are, if I do 100 shots in a week, 90 are going to be sky replacements, and it takes me about a minute to do a sky replacement. So that's what I do, and that's how long it takes. I bring it back in, I do a final boom, boom, boom on it in Lightroom, and then that's it. Okay. Tony, again, nice to see you. Cam Ranger, shooting single images in RAW, handheld, in daylight. Okay. By the way, all my exterior shots are single images. I never do HDR anymore. And believe it or not, I used to teach HDR. I was sponsored by Photomatics. I used to do workshops. I used to do conferences. I don't do it anymore. But anyway, you taught me to shoot on ladders, poles, working in Lightroom and Photoshop. Richard's done a lot to help and is always very helpful and generous with his time. Okay, I still owe you lunch. Yes, you do. Okay, any more questions? Well, let's see. Come on. 3:54. So I'm going to wrap it up, and I just want to say that I appreciate your feedback. I appreciate. Here's an idea how to monetize it. Put on a real estate workshop. Well, we were working on a workshop a lot last year, myself and a very, very established photographer, and it went on hold. I'm kind of bummed out, but anyway, we'll see. Rodrigo's from Portugal. Where's everybody from, man? I'm from Sacramento, California. I live between Lake Tahoe and San Francisco. And Rodrigo's from Portugal. Sean's out of town. Thanks, Rich. I was editing a house and watching you at the same time. Oh, that works really well, I'm sure. Jeannie, you rock. Thank you very much. And thank you. And I've had over 50 comments so far. That's YouTube saying, or Facebook saying, get in there and advertise yourself. Laura, you charge more for Twilights versus interiors. I've already gone over that. Rob, second. I second the Mando. What's that? Oh, yeah. Like that. That's what I use. One of my 6 mandolins. Collings mandolin. Collings from Austin, Texas. Anyway, I'm a harmonica player, professional harmonica player, and mandolin and piano, keyboards, congas, you name it. Anyway, Minneapolis, Stephen, Minneapolis, Laura, North Carolina. If you do a workshop, you're going to come in from Texas. I'll be there if you do the workshop. Yes, you will, because we're going to do it in San Francisco. I got to get back on it, but we had done several meetings, and I'm not going to go into it, but really, really want to do a workshop, because the only workshop I've had out here is I did Scott Hargis's workshop. It was great, but I think I want to do another one. I want to put it on myself. Larry Isaacs is from Hilton Head, right on. Melbourne, Mark, are you from Melbourne, Australia? I'm going to Australia this Christmas. So man, let's talk. Send me a message. I'm sorry, Mark, send me a message. Sam Chen, oh my God, Sam Chen is the kind of guy that comes an hour. He comes in 56 minutes into a 1 hour presentation. So Sam, we've talked about you. Yes, we have. You're the Twilight Master too. Anyway, and I also want to say I'm glad I made the Twilight group because it's been really a good group, and it's a good group of people, and I think we've gotten some good people participating and learning, and you know, Twilight's a really great thing to add to your services, and it's not that hard. Martin Beebe and Martin Beebe and Sam showed up 2 minutes before I'm ending. I talked a lot about you, Martin. Yes, I did. I lent Martin my 300mm 2.8 and my D500 for some kayak photography. How did the kayak racing go, Martin? Anyway, he lent me his DJI Phantom 4 Pro, and it's sitting in my garage. I haven't even tried it today. I'm going to go take out the P4 Pro tomorrow. And Martin got that. And we won't ask what happened to his last P3 Pro, but he did get a P4 Pro. Anyway, he's a local photographer, and we're all going to go out for that beer coming up. Jeannie, you want to do San Francisco would be great. I've got free lodging there. Well, you're going to have a lot of people stay with you because it's not cheap. And Mark, let's catch up for sure. Yeah, I'm going to be on the northeast corner of Australia. We're going to be there in December. We're going to go to the Great Barrier Reef. Take a boat out for a week. Anyway, Carrie Burns joined. Oh my gosh, I don't want to get off now. Maybe I'll stay an extra 5 minutes. Carrie, Martin, anybody? Sam, you got a question for Twilights? I'm sure I can answer all your questions. And Martin Beebe, I want to say one thing we were talking about is Martin and I went back and forth comparing the virtues and the vices of doing Mike Kelly-ish light painting and the time it takes, the effort for the outcome. And I think, Martin, how did we, Martin said stay away from the river. Oh, with the drone, yeah, stay away from the river. Martin, what did we end up, post what we ended up feeling about doing Twilights with pops, light painting as versus single or double exposure? Tell me what we said about that. Rodrigo, I don't do a lot of aerials, so I don't really want to get into that. I mainly do still photos, interiors. So anyway, and Kerry, you got a question, buddy? Kerry is an old timer from the Photography from Real Estate group and PFRE and on the Flickr group, and I recommend anybody who does this should join that Flickr group. So Martin Beebe just says, light painting usually isn't worth it. That's a subjective comment, but it's how I feel too. It wasn't worth it for me. I found that I could get similar results, and I say similar, and people will argue that it is better to do flash, but in my workflow, in my life, and for what I was doing, light painting did not fit in. And it's also the same thing in interiors anyway. Rodrigo, I Twilight like Mike Kelly, and yeah, a lot of work. That's only one. I only do one per house. Absolutely. I think it works great for you, Rodrigo. And where the heck did he say he was from? Wait a second. Let me see here. Rodrigo. I don't know. Anyway. Martin Bego. Hey, Martin Bego. Martin Beebe says, more efficient to do a single or maybe multiple exposures with a bit of blending. Yes, I think that's true. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye. It's been an hour, giving up an hour of my Saturday for you guys. Happy to do it. I've had a lot of requests to do this. Anyway, if you have any specific questions, send them to me. And Martin, take good care of my camera and lens, and I'll take good care of your drone if I ever get it up in the air. And I've got to go. Kerry, how do I feel? I feel the home can determine whether or not to light paint is appropriate. That is true. I think it depends on your specific need. Anyway, gotta go, guys. See you later. Rich Baum Photography. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I want to ask all of you, if you're going to buy something and you're thinking about buying it, and you're going to buy it from Adorama, like Flashpoint or anything, please use the link on my videos. Excuse me, because I'm an Adorama affiliate and I get a teeny little 1%, but this is multiplying and adding up to enough to at least help make all my videos and all my tutorials worthwhile. So anyway, thank you very much. And I just hit over 5,000 subscribers, so please subscribe and dig in doing it. I like doing it. And as everybody knows, I'm a teacher and I like doing it and I love photography. Rob, I'm going to end up just saying, Rob, you're the best, man, and a great photographer. And you said something to me one day that I changed your life, I made your life better by teaching all these tricks. And that's true, because we spend so much time away from our families doing this that all the tricks that we can do, all the tips, really help. So, Rich Baum Photography, Sacramento, California, signing off saying, see you later. Smart shooter, shoot smarter, shoot better, get faster, get better, so you can have better clients and do the things you want to do. We're not all going to be shooting real estate forever, but you know what? It's fun to mix it up, a commercial shoot, a real estate shoot. And look at people like Sam Chen, look at people like Mark Weisberg, look at people like Wayne Capelli that are doing these immense mansions and beautiful houses, doing fantastic work. That's where it's all about, and that's why you get better. That's why you struggle at the beginning, and it takes a while. So I'll see you later.